Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It is the 29th day of December 2021. I hope you're healthy and COVID-free today. I hope the needs of your family and yourself in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and the first responders trying to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep our streets and sidewalks clean and disease-free. Blessings upon those also that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings for those trying to help and deliver and rescue boys and girls, babies and toddlers, teenagers, men and women from human trafficking, sex slave operations, pornography, child pornography, pedophilia and child molestation, prostitution and child prostitution, and double curses on the ones that are the perpetrators of these heinous and disgusting things. Finally, blessings upon the homeless, 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States and millions around the world that'll have a roof over their head. May the Most High bless them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a basketball game last night in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The New York Knicks beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 96-88. Minnesota was missing some key players. Now, apparently some of them got cleared, but it was late in the day and they weren't ready to play last night. Namely, Cat was the big one. Also, D'Angelo Russell as well. They were not able to play yesterday. I'm not sure about D'Angelo, but Cat was not available yesterday, and I think he could have been. I think he has been cleared of the protocol. Anthony Edwards also has been cleared, as have Taurean Prince. D'Angelo Russell's not cleared, and neither is Karl Anthony Towns yet. But Anthony Edwards and Taurean Prince, nor D'Angelo Russell, nor Cat, none of them were available last night when the Knicks played. The only one of their regular rotation guys that seemed to be available was Malik Beasley, and he was very aggressive last night. And Jalen Noah was there as well, and he had actually helped win the game for them against the Celtics the night before. So we were catching them on the second night of a back-to-back without their key players, and they still gave us a lot of trouble. But mostly our trouble was self-inflicted. But over the game, a couple of important points. Without Karl Anthony Towns in the lineup, Mitchell Robinson dominated the game. In fact, if it wasn't for Mitchell Robinson, I don't know if we win this game. He really dominated the paint, as you would expect him to do. He overwhelmed their players. Now they had Jaden McDaniel, who really too light in the behind to play with Mitch. They had, their starters was, Greg Monroe. He wasn't a starter, but Greg Monroe was a roughneck. Not a big athletic dude, but a big strong dude. So they had some guys, that they tried to throw at MitchRob, but to no avail. I mean, he ended up with 14 points, which was the leading scorer last night. 14 points, but just as importantly, 18 rebounds, 6 on the offensive end, a block, 2 steals, +2. And the only reason he was only +2 is because he played with the first unit. And the first unit in the beginning of the game looked a lot like the first unit in the first 20 games of the season. I was like, this looks very familiar because they're playing the same. The only thing I had to say is I cannot blame Kemba Walker on that. He was getting beat a couple of times, but he was able. I mean, this is the thing about Kemba. Like I said, there's no problem with effort with Kemba Walker. He's going to give you 100% effort on both ends of the floor. It's just that he's physically limited. But last night, in trying to attack him, they weren't as successful. I don't know if it's because they were missing their regular personnel or whatever, but Kemba wasn't as much of a detriment last night. He was still -3, but I felt like he played an overall decent game. Again, though, I have to say, if Deuce McBride was in that position, he'd play better. But let's be real, he's not in that position right now. Kemba is. So I don't think Kemba was a major detriment last night. As a matter of fact, I liked how he picked his spots, especially in the third and fourth quarter. He picked his spots, and Minnesota made a conscious effort to get the ball out of his hands. I mean, everybody knows now he's been player of the week. He was dropping 25 a game, had a 40-point game. Everybody knows that, and teams adjust. And so they were trying to get the ball out of his hands, especially in the second half. They spent a lot of time trying to get the ball out of his hands. And so there was that. But overall, he played, no, but Mr. Fournier, he played 25 minutes. Now, this is the interesting thing. The stars of last night's game, the guys that really pulled the game out, the guys that really carried the Knicks last night. Mitchell Robinson, fourth quarter, R.J. Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, though he got pulled, okay, Taj Gibson and Alec Burks, but those five guys are the young Lions, right? There are young guys. Mitchell Robinson is 23, Obi is 23, RJ is 21, Quickley 22, Grimes is 21, 22. These are the young guys that we have drafted, all of those guys. And they are the ones that carried the team last night. If it was left to Julius Randle, we'd have lost that game. Okay? He was bad Julius yesterday. Yes, he had 15 rebounds, and that's excellent. But he also had 4 turnovers. The Knicks had, as a team, 15 turnovers, 4 from him and 4 from RJ. Okay? Both of them turn the ball over too much. But with Julius, this is a regular occurrence. All right? And the thing which we're not going to talk about today, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. A lot of y'all say I don't criticize Thibodeau. Well, I got a criticism. So Obi had a total of 2 turnovers. He only played 11 minutes. The energy he brought is invaluable. And he makes a turnover, an indecisive move. And Tibbs goes crazy on the sideline. I don't know if y'all saw that. He went nuts. And the play that Obi made, the indecisive turnover, was not as bad as all the turnovers the way Julius Randle does it. But we never hear anything about time when he just doesn't say anything when Julius does it. That's going to eventually be a problem. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But the young Lions, to me, are the ones that won this game yesterday. It was really the first time that's not a summer league game that the young players carried the New York Knicks. And I think you're going to see more of that. See, your Kembas, your Fourniers, your Gibsons, your Burks, Julius Randle, those guys, okay, yeah, you need some veterans to win, to get in the playoffs and to make a run. But these young kids are coming, man. The New York Knicks have probably the best young stable among, I'd say at least, let's just put it this way, top 5 young stable of kids in their rotation or on their roster. The Houston Rockets got a nice young stable, but look at Houston, look at the Knicks, right? I mean, right? And speaking to that, I think we got to play, we played Detroit tonight, so that's different, but Detroit's similar. Detroit really, hit the jackpot. I think that was the year that we got Obi, last year, because they ended up with they ended up with some really nice players. They got, this past year they got Cade Cunningham, but they got Killian Hayes, they got Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart. All of those guys came in the same draft, right? And that's cornerstone for their future. They're going to be good in the future. That right now, of course, they stink. But the Knicks, I just mentioned the Knicks young core. I mean, we have Mitchell Robinson, R.J. Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride, right? Who else? Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride. Emmanuel Quickley. We still got Kevin Knox. Yeah. And so I'm thinking like tonight against Detroit, I'm wondering if Kemba's going to play. And the reason I'm wondering is because it's a back-to-back. And last night, Kemba did not play as many minutes as he had been playing previously. Last night, Kemba played 33 minutes, which is more in line with a starter for Tom Thibodeau. He had been playing 40 minutes a game for the last few games before that, which I knew he wasn't going to be able to do that. Very few players could do that. But you talk about 31-year-old guy with a left knee problem. Definitely not going to be able to continue to do that. Even 33 minutes might be too much for him. So I'm wondering if he plays tonight against Detroit. I want to see how his knee responds, because I don't think this is going to be good. And I don't know what Thibodeau is going to do. But if he sits Kemba tonight, Deuce time is here, because you're going to see Deuce, you're going to see Emmanuel quickly. And that combination, as we saw against Houston, is dynamite. So it's going to be another night where you're going to see the youth carry the team again. Okay. Now, again, with Julius Randle, it's getting annoying. Put it that way. You don't know which Julius you're getting on a night-to-night basis. He's very inconsistent. And the pet treatment that Tom has given him is not good for the team. Okay. And I did read media reports that there were people on the team that felt like Kemba was unfairly treated when he was pulled, not because he shouldn't have been pulled, but because they didn't say who, but there were other players that were hurting them just as bad, and they weren't getting that type of attention, that type of wrath. And I think we know two of them, Evan Fournier and Julius Randle. Okay, so is what it is. I don't want to create more internal strife than necessary, because we in New York, and internal strife and strife period hits the Knicks all the time. It's just part of being in New York. But I'm just concerned with this going forward. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But Julius ended up with 13 points. He was 5 of 20 from the field, 1 of 5. And this is the thing. If y'all recall the Hawks game, after the game, Tibbs said, we like attacking Julius. When Julius attacks, we're better. Julius said, yeah, I need to attack more. So what does he do starting off against the Wolves? He throws up 2 3-pointers. He ends up 1 for 5 from 3. I'm glad he didn't put up any more. And then when he did attack last night, good things happened. Yeah. And of course, now I think, including Julius, everybody on the planet, anybody that's watching the Knicks now understands. This is it right here. If he takes a third dribble, even Wally Zerbiak said it during the game last night. If he takes a third dribble, there's going to be problems. He should take 1 or 2 dribbles and make a decision about what he's going to do. If he takes a third dribble, there's usually bad results. Okay. That's a formula that everybody knows now. Okay. And so the thing is that I think it's up to Julius as a veteran to put himself in the proper positions on the court. That's one of the things about being an NBA veteran. You start to know where on the court is the highest probability of you being successful, offensively speaking. So he knows where he should be successful. He's got to decide, to make that a point to get to his spots. And for him, usually that's somewhere inside the key. If the ball is moving well, yes, he'll get some open threes, and that's fine. Good shot. And he could, as we saw against the Hawks and we saw last year, he is capable of hitting those. But we don't want that to be the focus of the offense. Okay? We want the ball movement to be the focus. And I believe Tibbs everything I'm saying, I believe he's preaching to the team, because he's always said that a lot. But ball movement should be the focus. Last night, this is one of the downers. The Knicks had 20 assists, which, we got to get up to 25. All right. So let's give them a pass, because there was, because RJ just came back from COVID. Grimes just came back from COVID. Quickly just came back from COVID. Toppin just came back from COVID. So all of that, would affect how they play. In fact, I gave RJ a pass. He was 3 of 10 last night, but as you saw, if you watched the game, even though he had 8 points, they were all in the fourth quarter at crunch time. That's why you want RJ Barrett. Okay. 21 years old, and he's a finisher, and yes, he's going to get better, and I'm not worried about RJ at all. Okay. Now, all that being said, Grimes last night. Now, against the Hawks, Grimes played 25 minutes, and Evan Fournier played 31 minutes. Last night, it was flipped. If you watched closely, closely, right? First guy off the bench was not Alec Burks. It was Quentin Grimes. Now, the only surprise to me about that was that he came in for R.J. Barrett. He did not come in for Fournier. I have a feeling, but then again, during the course of the game, he did come in for Fournier. And then I was a little concerned in the fourth quarter when he pulled Grimes, put Fournier in. I was like, what the heck are we doing? This is the worst possible lineup in the fourth quarter. But he only did it for a couple of minutes and then I realized, wait a minute. And we got to all remember this. Grimes' legs weren't all the way back last night. I mean, you could see it in his jumper. When generally a guy like him that can shoot like that is missing his jumper, it's in his legs. Okay. And so it's going to take him a game or two, maybe starting last night, to get his legs back after being off for 10 days. When he first jumped in and scored 27 against the Bucks, he was fresh, right? He hadn't been doing a lot of minutes, but now all of a sudden from that to now, he's been getting increased minutes. So he's got to get conditioned to that. And then he's just coming off the COVID, right? So now you got to let him get his legs back. That's why he was 3 of 9 last night, not shooting the way we would normally see him shooting. A lot of his shots, you could see they were rimming out. It's his legs, right? So Tibbs gave him a break and and I was like, is he letting Fournier close? No. He gave Fournier a couple minutes until Grimes caught his breath. Then he put Grimes back in the game. Now, the thing about Quentin Grimes, among a lot of things, like, okay, we know he can shoot the lights out. He's a tremendous defender. He's not the big time playmaker, and that's fine. But he is the perfect 3-and-D guy. He really is. 3-and-D guy, there's nothing like, that's the high point of 3-and-D you want right there. Matter of fact, a couple of times last night, like RJ has this problem defensively sometimes. If you notice, he'll still get beat backdoor. It happens like once a game. It drives me crazy. They know whoever the opposing team is, they scout him and they know how to set him up for it. And he gets beat backdoor. Grimes never gets beat backdoor. Matter of fact, he got a steal off of it because he reads it coming. It's amazing. I love to see a player that has done homework enough so that he sees, especially a rookie, he sees the play developing and he knows what's coming and he beats it. You know who else does that? Deuce McBride. Okay? That's tremendous. That's like LeBron in terms of like that aspect of his game. LeBron memorizes everything the other team is doing. He remembers the last game you played against him. He remembers what you did, what plays you read, you did. As a matter of fact, he sometimes calls out the opposing team's plays while they're doing it. That one aspect would help any player in the NBA. But these two guys do that. Okay. But Grimes, I'm thinking that Grimes had, like right now, okay, the steals leader in the NBA is Gary Trent Jr. He averages 2.2 steals a game. Got 61 steals on the year. Right now, Grimes is averaging 1.5, but he hasn't played enough games. I'm thinking that this kid has the talent to one day lead the NBA in steals because he's really that good at anticipating. And he's not the guy like an Allen Iverson that, is just playing the passing lanes and not playing his man at all. He honestly can lock you down and know what you're getting ready to do and beat you to the spot. It's tremendous. So I've said all that to say I can see already him getting increased minutes and Fournier getting less minutes. It's already starting. Okay. Just by last night, Fournier gets 25 and Fournier wasn't in foul trouble. He had 3 personal fouls. Grimes had 1, but it wasn't really any foul trouble from Fournier. It was Grimes time. Now, let me say this. If ever Fournier has to miss. See, Fournier got in his contract. If you look at his contract on, Spoke Track, you will see that he has a clause in there for a bonus if he plays at least 65 games. So they put that in there, because he's capable of playing, just like 2-3 years ago, he played 82 games. But sometimes he gets hurt. So let me tell you something. If he misses, let's say he gets a sprained ankle or something and misses 3 games, and you put Grimes in his spot. Listen to me now. Grimes is never giving up the spot. Once you put Quentin Grimes for 3 games as a full-time starter in New York Knicks, he's that starter for the next 5 years. That's his spot now. That's what's going to happen. And when you have a situation, just think of what I just said, that situation where your starter's got to look over his shoulder because there's a guy waiting, a young guy, to take your spot. That keeps Fournier pushing, right, to stay in the lineup. But it's only a matter of time. Say like, I don't know, let me just use a bit like Antetokounmpo. Let's say Giannis Antetokounmpo or Jimmy Butler even misses 3 games, right, for their team. They sprain their ankle, they're hurt, they sprain a muscle or something, hamstring, whatever, and they're out for 3 games. There's no question that regardless of how many games he's out, when he's healthy, he's back in that spot. Whoever's there, not going to take his spot. Right? Because he's coming back to that spot as soon as he's healthy. Okay? That's not the case here. So if Fournier is out for any reason and Grimes gets put in that slot, it's over. Grimes is keeping the spot. And I want to tell you something else. Similar thing. And it's going to be interesting. Similar thing with Kemba. Kemba misses more than 2 or 3 games due to injury or knee or whatever, and Deuce McBride is playing those minutes. I don't think the kid ever gives up the spot. I think it becomes his. Okay. And why do I say that about those 2 guys? Because they will play so much better. The team will be so much better. The results will be so much better that there'll be no choice. You got to keep Nick. And you know what? This is a common theme in all sports, all competitive sports. You get the dude that was once the top of the game and he's starting to get older and he's not quite as good as he was in his prime. And then there's another young cat waiting to take his spot. And they just, out of respect, keep the older dude there. But if everybody knows the young guy is coming, it happens in every sport. Every sport. And in pro sports, the strongest survive. And as, old guy starts using his wit and his guile and his experience to keep his spot. But eventually, you get the wrong young guy behind him. It's going to change. When Charles Barkley came, Dr. J was on his way out. That's what happens, man. Okay? That's what happens. Okay? So, that's happening here. It happens in all sports. Boxing is the worst one because guys in boxing starts to lose their reflexes as they get older because of the punches they've taken. And they still think they can fight. But the young guy that has the quicker reflexes and is hungry is going to show him the door, right? It happens in every sport, man. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, track. At the end of Usain Bolt's career, you could see the younger dudes. Usain Bolt started getting hurt more on the track. He's spraining muscles and stuff, and you started seeing younger dudes coming at his heels. And he got out as he was able to, win in 3 Olympics in a row, or 4, or 3 at least. But they were coming for him. The younger sprinters were coming for him. It happens in every sport. Okay. And so here you have that situation. Fournier is 30, I think 29, 30, and then Kemba's 31, and you got Deuce McBride and you got Quentin Grimes nipping at their heels, ready, to take their spot. Now with Julius and Obi, that's a different scenario because Julius is in his prime at 27 right now. He just signed a $100 million deal. I'm telling you, there's going to be a problem with Obi. I told y'all last summer. In fact, when I get ready to do this tomorrow, I'm going to put the links to last summer's videos where I told y'all this was coming. Okay, because Obi is too good to be going through this crap here. So we're going to see how this works out. But, the Knicks got the win. That's their second in a row. We played back to back against Detroit. Cannot sleep on Detroit. Saban Lee, just a week ago, I think it was, put a hurting on Kemba Walker. All right. And he's going to be coming back again for more because he's going to attack Kemba. So I don't know. Like I said, I want to see who's starting today. I want to see if Kemba's playing back to back second night. They still got Friday night. They got to play Friday night as well. So you got Detroit tonight. And I believe Friday night they're on the road against Oklahoma City. So you got to travel to Oklahoma City from Detroit. You got to travel from Minnesota last night to Detroit today. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. I'm telling you, Kemba's not going to play all of these games. Deuce is going to come in there. So when he does, you're going to see. See, because there's not enough spots. for everybody. And that's because the Knicks have a lot of young talent. It's just not enough spots for everybody. Especially with Thibodeau, where he always wants to have some grizzled vet in front of some of these young dudes. This is the wrong team for that. Like, if you just had a regular team of young kids that wasn't ready, really, like Oklahoma City got. They got a lot of young guys, but they're just not ready yet. Okay? Trey Mann might become a player eventually, but he's not ready right now. All right? But he's feeling his way through. A lot of cats like that. Like Moody on Golden State, same thing. But this guy's got players that, like Obi, that could really start on another team. All right. They be starters, you know, or Deuce McBride, or, you know, you got all of that. Even Kevin Knox would be in somebody's rotation. So this is going to be interesting to see, but it's all good for the Knicks because overall, that just means our roster's filled with talent. That's all that means. We got talent on this roster. Okay. And we got a lot of young talent. That's very good. Everybody's always looking for some trade, but I've gotten to the point where I realized that y'all are just so used to being on, you know, with the crack era that you just can't help yourself. You're always looking at some other player, some other team that we need to go get. You see a good player, we need to go get him. We don't need to go get every good player that you see on another team. We got a team. And we got depth already. We don't need to do that. Okay. If anything, we don't need, like the latest thing was this whole Cam Reddish stuff. What you gonna do? You gonna send Obi and RJ somewhere for Cam Reddish? What's wrong with y'all? We got wings. We just talked about Grimes. Do you know that Cam and him play the same position? Y'all think about this before you start talking about this stuff? Just because a guy gets 30 in a couple of games on another team, now we gotta go get him? Anyway. No. Right now, we're in a position where it'll be addition by subtraction. If we got rid of a couple of guys, we'd get better. We don't need to add anybody. We need to open up space so some of these kids could play. That's all we really need. Okay. We don't need to add anybody. We need like role players. I mentioned Robert Covington and Larry Nance Jr. We need role players that's not going to interfere with the young lions that we got that's ready to roar. That's what we need. We don't need somebody else coming in and taking minutes from somebody. Anyway, tonight against Detroit. So hopefully we see some things tonight. We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see. Kemba's going to be a key because if Kemba doesn't play tonight, you're going to see deuce time. In fact, Tom mentioned it. They asked him, what if Kemba can't play tonight? He said, oh, we're deep. He mentioned deuce. He said, we got IQ, we got deuce, we're good. Because he knows. Okay. They are good. All right. So y'all have a good Wednesday. Be safe out there. What time is the game tonight? Hold on. I gotta check because I am going to be doing my Bible study between 6:45 and 7:30. And I think the game, what time is the game? The game's at 7. So I might miss a little bit of the game, but I'll catch up. Okay. I'll catch up. Probably start the Bible study at 6:30 and then we'll catch up with the game. Maybe in the first quarter sometime. But I ain't worried about it. But y'all be safe out there. Enjoy the game. Happy hump day. Some of y'all got off like myself on Friday. So tomorrow's like Friday. Enjoy that. Be safe though. It's crazy out there. Shalom.